Hello everyone. I have been thinking if I should actually vlog my journey becoming a stay-at-home mom. I know it's probably not a big deal to a lot of people, but it's a big deal for me. It's actually been a huge change. And I don't know, I just feel like I wanted to start this channel well, initially I wanted to start it to find community. It's been a little bit challenging, but I figured I might as well just start putting some videos out there. Maybe some viewers out there are going through the same thing that I'm going through and we can connect that way. So, as the title is going to say, I recently quit my full-time job so that I can be a stay-at-home mom. So I officially put in my resignation in January of this year, 2025, and my last day of work was in February 17th. So it's been about a month, and it already feels like so much has happened. Things I wasn't expecting, things that were a surprise, things that were, a pleasant surprise, and other things that were a bit of a challenge. So if you do see that there's like a lot of cuts in this video, my baby is sleeping, so I'm just keeping an ear out to be sure that he doesn't wake up and start crying for me, and So it has been a month now since I have quit my job, and I would say that off the bat, there was a lot of fear deciding to do this. My reasoning for it was I just kept feeling like I could be a better mom. I felt like I wasn't living up to my potential as a mother. I didn't feel like I was fulfilling my role in my child's life. And I know that a lot of people might say that, well, it's early. It just felt like I was missing so much from his life. Even when I cut my hours from full-time to part-time, it still just felt like I was out of whack. I don't know. I would go to work, I would come home, and I would have to cook, I would have to clean, and I would have to take care of the baby. Baby-wise, it was our first child, so I was the one who had more experience with taking care of a child. I raised a lot of my cousins growing up, so I did have a lot of experience. My husband did not have experience taking care of children, and it just felt like there was a real learning curve. Even though he would try to take the baby and help me have my breaks and stuff, very quickly things started to pile up. The baby's clothes were all over the place because he was growing so fast, we couldn't keep up. Now, I was working part-time and my husband was working overtime hours at the time, so it just felt naturally that I should have been the one to try to take that as my responsibility, and I just couldn't do it. It was just piling up. It got to a point where the baby's room was, I would call it my depression closet. I would just throw stuff in there and I would close the door and I wouldn't look at it. I was feeling just very, very overwhelmed. I know that there are women out there who are working moms. For me, it just didn't work. I kept telling myself that I needed to make it work. I needed to make it work. And I just couldn't do it. I just did not feel like I was giving my 100%. So I made the decision to obviously quit my job. And immediately, what surprised me was the way that my employer reacted. I work at a leasing office. Since working there, I've been living here for about 2 years now. And once I put in my resignation, the first thing that my employer asked me was, when are you moving? And I said, what do you mean? I don't understand the question. She proceeded to ask, well, are you packed? You got your things in order? You're gonna move somewhere? And I was just so confused. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't understand your question. I have a market rent lease. I don't have Section 8. I don't have any form of aid for paying my rent. We pay our rent in full every month, and we've never missed our rent. We've never had any issues with any tenants complaining. It would just seem like a really odd question to ask. So she proceeded to say that if I stopped working there, then they could not promise that I could live here. Of course, this immediately was a red flag to me, because I've read my lease, and I recommend that everybody does this, regardless of your situation. You should 100% always read your lease and understand the terms of you living there. I've read my lease at least, I want to say 6 times. And nowhere in the lease did it say that if I was no longer employed by my employer, that I needed to leave. So that immediately was, it was a stressor, for sure. But I guess in a way I'm kind of stubborn. And rather than say that I was going to retract my resignation, instead I ended up looking for a lawyer. Long story short with that though, I did meet up with some lawyers. They read over my lease. They were just as confused as me. Honestly, the lawyer looked at me and said, nowhere on here does it say that this is an employee lease. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. It really just fortified the feeling that I had that it was my time to go. I was already in this mindset that my child needs me and this job can dispose of me whenever they wish, and there's nothing I could do about it. They are always making it known how replaceable we are as employees. Frankly, it just felt like a very toxic work environment, and it confirmed what I was thinking for the past couple months. That is, this job really doesn't care. It doesn't care about me. It doesn't care about my child. And along with being here, even though it's only been a month, I feel like so much has happened. I feel like I've learned some lessons already. I've learned that this doesn't come naturally to me. I did not grow up with a stay-at-home mom. My mom was a working mom. My father was not in the picture, so I understood, even then I understood that my mom needed to work. Like, thinking back at it, there were things I wish I could have done with my mom that we just couldn't do because she was working 2 to 3 jobs. So doing this is not natural. Well, before I was a mother, sometimes I wouldn't even eat, like I don't know if anybody could relate to this. I'll either forget or, I don't feel like cooking. But When you have a child, that's different. Now I'm realizing, especially now that he's about to be a year, I need to provide healthy meals. I need to, get his meal schedule sorted out. I need to plan his breakfast, his lunch, his snacks, his dinner. And that in itself has been a challenge because I want him to eat healthy. I want him to try new foods. I want him to have all of his basic food groups. It's a lot. He should be eating at least a protein every morning. He should be having, some fruits, some vegetables with every meal. What does that look like? What does that look like portion wise for him since he's still small? I had to think about portions. I had to think about the meals. I had to think about the actual, nutrition behind those meals. And of course, that takes a lot of work and of course mental planning, especially if you're trying to be frugal, which is my next thing, my next challenge that I've had to face. When you are in a household that has two incomes, you don't realize how comfortable you are spending your money. I started looking at what are the things that I really do spend my money on. Typically it's eating out or it's online shopping. And I find that when I go outside, it's very, very, very easy for me to spend money. If I decide I want to go for a drive or if I'm going to the store, it is so easy, especially in Walmart. It's so easy for me to go into Walmart to want to buy one thing and I'll leave with 4 things that I wasn't planning on buying, and it'll be like $80 or $90. And that's just blind spending right there. I know that about myself now, that I have my problem stores. I don't know if anybody else has problem stores, but one of mine is definitely Walmart. Another one is definitely TJ Maxx. There's just stores that I realize that I have to avoid going in them at all costs unless if it's absolutely necessary. When I do have to go in there, I have to mentally prep myself and say okay, I just need this one thing. I just need this one thing. And I literally have to repeat that to myself, I'm not saying it out loud like a crazy person, but I'm just walking and okay, you know what? I do probably look like a crazy person because I'm literally mumbling to myself, just get the thing you need, just get the thing you need, just get the thing you need. And if I look to the side and I see something cute, I literally have to just get what you need, just get what you need, I have to do it because if not, I might end up leaving with 3 or 4 things that I was not planning on buying. But if there's anybody out there who has shopping addiction, I didn't think I really had one, but I do experience some form of like relief. I think I do experience some form of gratification when I purchase something. So I don't want to say that I have a shopping addiction because I can say no if I'm more conscious about it, but I do know that I have some problem areas in that. Hopping off of that, I did have a lot of problems with eating out, as I just mentioned a few minutes earlier. And what I've had to do to combat that is I have told myself I can only eat what I make. And this was not something that I was able to do when I was working. All my focus went into work. I wouldn't be able to have enough mental energy to think, what am I gonna eat for dinner? What am I gonna eat for lunch? What am I gonna eat for breakfast? I didn't have that type of mental space left, if that makes sense. So now that I'm here, I feel like I don't really have an excuse. So now I'm okay, if I'm gonna eat something, I have to eat it here. I have to make it. And if I'm going out somewhere, I'll think to myself, okay, the baby is a lot more calm when I have snacks that he could eat. That way I don't feel pressured to run somewhere and buy something just for him to eat. Because I'm gonna be honest, I did end up giving him like fast food, and I felt awful. If you are in a situation where it's either feed your child or don't feed your child, obviously feed your child. I completely understand that. But in my case, if I have the opportunity, which I do, to prep my son's meals, to prep his snacks, to prep his lunch, and I know, okay, I'm going to go to an appointment with the baby, he has a doctor's appointment, and it's at a certain time where he gets hungry, then mentally, like, I need to know that obviously he's gonna be hungry at a certain time. He does better when he has food, so I should take initiative and make him a snack, or bring him a snack, bring him some fruit, bring him some crackers, bring him some cheese. He loves cheese. I just found that out a few weeks ago. He just does better when he has snacks. I mean, who doesn't do better when they have a snack? If you get hungry in the day, you get cranky. So it just made sense. And having that prep time, having, taking that time to prepare snacks or a lunch, depending on what time I know we're going to be out of the house, it alleviates so much stress from me feeling guilty, like, oh my God, he hasn't eaten anything all day and we're so far from home. I need to stop somewhere and get him some fast food or get him anything for him to eat. So I found that was a challenge, obviously, but I feel like I'm already starting to come up with some ways to work with it. Another challenge has been rely on my husband's check. I guess this goes back into being frugal. It has in a way removed stress but added different stress. Now, I don't know if this makes sense. Try to stick with me here. Initially, I was stressed when we were both working. I was stressed that the bills were getting paid on time. Now, I'm kind of stressed because I'm not the one bringing in money. So I just want to be sure that I'm not creating more expenses unnecessarily. So, did I explain that correctly? I think this just goes back to me buying things. I don't want to add unnecessary expenses to the bills that we already have. Those are just a few of the challenges that I've experienced so far, but there has been a lot of pros. I mean, I feel like the pros have definitely outweighed the challenges. The challenges, I can always find a solution, but they are minuscule in comparison to the things that I have been in a way blessed to see. I'm seeing him start to stand on his own. He took his first steps. I was able to see that. He has new teeth that are coming out. They just popped out yesterday. I was able to take him to a kids museum. I never could have done that working. I know that I would not have been able to take him to that museum had I been working my regular job, because it's open during my job hours, So it just wouldn't have happened, and I'm just so grateful that I was able to take him to this kids museum with my sister, and he really did enjoy it. They even had an area specifically for kids that aren't walking yet. It's called early walkers. And it has so many crawly spaces, so many hidey holes, and it was just so fun and beautiful and creative, and he just had so much fun exploring, and I was able to witness that. And I really like cannot take that back. Like, I wouldn't take that back for the world. He has been, he has been saying words here and there. We have conversations. I'm also seeing that he's starting to explore, and he's starting to learn things, and he's starting to try to put things together. And I feel like I'm so happy that I'm able to witness this. Even the small things, like being able to wake up and just see him sleeping next to me. There's no rush for me to pack him in his stroller and put on his coat and put on the wind cover because it's freezing where I am right now. I used to have to pack him up in the stroller, bring him to the car in the cold, put him in the car, take him to his babysitter. Then I would have to leave. He would be devastated because I'm leaving. And then I would have to go to work knowing that he's devastated. Then I would have to come back, pick him up, deal with him crying in the car ride all the way home. And it was always a stressful morning. Now it's like night and day because we don't have a set schedule for him to wake up. Like, if he has a night where he doesn't feel too good, like a couple nights ago where he had a fever that he just could not break, I was up with him. Every 4 hours, I had to give him medicine. Now my only concern, is to give him his medicine so that he feels better. And that in itself is a relief. It's just a weight. It feels like it's a weight that's been lifted for me personally, because when I was working, he did get very sick. He had a fever that he couldn't break for 3 days. He had this fever, it wouldn't go away. And of course, me and my husband were working. I was working part-time, he was working full-time. Obviously, he was the one that was bringing in the majority of the money, so it just made sense that he should get some sleep while I tried to deal with him. But unfortunately, that definitely affected my work. It affected my mental state. I was obviously exhausted. I mean, we both were, because how much sleep could you really get when there's a child screaming next to you? But by the third day of us not being able to break this fever, we both had to take him to the emergency room, and we were there for hours. So neither of us got sleep, and it was just so stressful because I was worrying about my baby. I was worrying about him being sick. I wanted him to feel better, but at the same time, it was just, and the doctor said it's just something that we had to wait out. It wasn't anything that we could do to make it go by faster. He had to fight it on his own, and unfortunately that meant that there were nights that neither of us were getting sleep. Now that I'm not the one who's working, I have that freedom to wake up every 4 hours, give him his medicine at the exact time that he needs it, no more, no less, so that it keeps the fever under control until it goes away on its own. And I have been so happy that I have been able to do that. Is it tiring? Absolutely. Of course it's tiring, but I am grateful that I'm able to be there for my child when he's sick, when he needs me the most. And because I don't have to go to work, I could just sleep. So if he's sleeping, I could sleep. In those nights where he's sick and he's just not feeling well, it's not like I have a specific bedtime. I could wake up and go to sleep at any time. Right now, while I'm filming this video, he is asleep. So I can do this. I wouldn't be able to do this if I was still working. And of course, there's other things that I am just so looking forward to. I signed him up for swimming classes. He's gonna start swimming classes in May. Like, I know a lot of people, like, to a lot of people, this is not a big deal, right? Like, I know a lot of people is like, okay, it's whatever. It's like, it's just a swimming class. But, like, to me, it's like, it's just a blessing. It's honestly just a blessing because we have money, right? We have money in the budget to pay for these lessons. These lessons are only during the week. Only during the week. And the reason why I say that is because they do have a class for the weekend, but of course it's taken. I mean, of course it's going to be taken. It's on the weekend. The majority of people have the weekends off. That's why everybody leaves everything for the weekends. Of course, the weekend classes are going to be taken. But, oh, and not to mention, they're more expensive. So the weekend classes are taken. But because I'm able to stay home, because I have the opportunity to be here with my child, I have time. Like, it's just crazy. It's literally crazy. I know there's probably a lot of people who are thinking that I'm trying to make like mountains out of molehills, but to me, it's really a big deal because like I feel like I'm already starting to get to do things with him that I'm gonna, get to have these memories. I'm gonna be able to, give him something that will benefit him in the long run. I mean, swimming is one of those things where, at least to me, it's like so important for a child to be able to know how to swim so that they don't drown. I mean, I had a cousin who almost drowned in a pool when she was like 5 because she didn't know how to swim and nobody knew where she was. That's a very scary thing. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, when is he ever going to be near a pool? Pool parties? Hello? School trips? What if he wants to go to the beach? What if we want to go to an amusement park and they have a pool area? What if we go to a community pool for a birthday party? What if we go to the beach? There are so many instances where a child could be next to a deep body of water, and I definitely want to be sure that he's going to at least be able to, know how to swim so he doesn't drown. And on top of that, it does help with endurance. It does help with, strengthening their muscles. It helps with their breathing. It just helps with a lot of things. And I feel like it's a very small step to being able to help him just learn a new skill. And I'm super, super excited to be able to be a part of it, to be able to take him to it, to be able to be present when he's in those classes. I'm honestly like freaking out about it because like I'm just so excited about it. There's so many things that I am just so hopeful for. I'm very hopeful and excited to get to spend more time with him outside, to be able to take him out on walks, to be able to go hiking with him, to be able to take him to the park and just see him run around and, maybe make some friends. I'm so hopeful to see him just grow and to see how his curiosity is going to just like make him learn. I genuinely just want to be able to experience that because I know that regardless of anything, if I want to find a job, I'll find a job. I think that that's just been the main thing that goes on in my head when people ask me, do you regret quitting? Do you just wish that, you can go and make some money? Like, I just always tell them I can literally get a job within a week if I really wanted to, because I'm obsessive like that. Like if I really want to have a job, I will apply to like 20, maybe 25 jobs per week if I really, really want a job. And I have done it before. And I guess that's another story for another time. But I can find a job literally whenever. And I'm a good worker. Not even to like, in, you know, how do they say that? To my own horn. I think that's what the saying is. Not even to like boast or anything. I'm a good employee. You know, I know how to be a good employee. The thing is I don't want to be an employee. Not to a job that doesn't care about me. Not to a job that, you know, doesn't care if my child eats or not, if my child is sick or not. You know, employees don't care about that. They just want to see numbers. They don't care about your personal life. They don't care if your family's okay, if your child is doing all right, if they're, you know, reaching their milestones, if they're, you know, eating enough, drinking enough, using the bathroom enough. They don't care about those things. It's my job to care. I'm the one who needs to care if he is getting sick. That's my job. If he is, you know, getting along with others, that's my job. If he's, you know, learning his shapes, learning his colors, learning his numbers, learning his letters. Did I say that? I don't remember. Sorry, mommy brain. That's on me. That's my responsibility. So if that's my responsibility, I should take it seriously. At least that's what I told myself. Because there's always people hiring. Literally. I can always get a job. They're always going to be there. I have no doubt about that. But I am not going to get another chance to experience these milestones with my child. I'm not going to get another chance at this. You can't turn back the clock. You can't take back what's already gone. And when I missed 4 months, because I was on maternity for about 3 months, and then I went back to work. The time that I missed with the baby, when he was, you know, 4 months up to now, I can't get that back, you know? And I don't want to just let that fly by. I just don't. I would rather be there, watch it all, experience it all myself, and not through videos that I get from a babysitter. So, that's everything that I have so far experienced and thought about, and it's only been a month, just a month. I have no idea what is going to be in store for all the months and maybe even years to come. I have no idea, but I am hopeful. I am excited, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to see where it goes from here.